In a quiet village, far from the noise of the city, there lived a young girl named Amara. Amara was only 10 years old when her life changed forever. Her father, Chief Okeke, was a respected and wealthy man. People came from different places to greet him. He owned lands, houses, and businesses. But more than his wealth, he loved his daughter deeply. "Everything I have belongs to you," he would always tell Amara. She didn't understand what that meant. She only knew her father smiled whenever he saw her. But not everyone was happy. After Chief Okeke lost his wife, his relatives began to visit more often. His younger brother, Uncle Jude, especially came around with fake smiles and sweet words. Amara didn't like him. There was something cold in his eyes. One evening, Chief Okeke fell sick suddenly. The whole house was in panic. Doctors came and went, but nothing worked. Amara sat beside him, holding his weak hand. "Papa, you will be fine," she whispered. He looked at her with tired eyes and forced a smile. "Be strong, my daughter, no matter what happens." That night, he died. Amara's world went silent. The house that once felt warm suddenly became cold, and as she cried beside her father, she did not know that something worse was already beginning. Because outside the room, her Uncle Jude and other relatives were already planning how to take everything. Chief Okeke's burial was a grand one. People came from everywhere to honor Chief Okeke. There was food, music, and long speeches about how great he was. Amara stood quietly, dressed in black. She didn't understand why people were celebrating when her heart was broken. After the burial, things started to change. Uncle Jude suddenly became very kind. "Amara, don't worry," he said one day, patting her head. "I am here for you now." She didn't trust him, but she had no choice. Soon, he moved into the big house with his wife and children. At first, they acted nice. They gave her food, they spoke softly, but slowly, everything changed. "You are still too young to have this big room all by yourself," her auntie said. "Let our children use the big rooms." Amara was moved to a small, dark room at the back of the house. Then came the chores. Go and fetch water, wash the plates, clean the compound. She was no longer treated like the daughter of a wealthy man. She became like a servant in her own house. One day, she gathered courage and asked, "Uncle, when will I go back to school?" Uncle Jude looked at her and laughed. "Ha ha ha! School? With whose money?" Amara froze. "But my father..." Before she could finish, her auntie shouted, "Your father is gone. Stop dreaming." That night, Amara cried quietly in her room. Something was very wrong, but she didn't know yet that everything her father owned was already being taken from her. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Amara's life became harder. She woke up before everyone and slept after everyone. Her small hands were always busy, always tired. But one thing never left her heart: her father's words. "Everything I have belongs to you." She held on to that. One afternoon, while cleaning Uncle Jude's room, something strange happened. She saw a file on the table. It was slightly open. Curious, she moved closer. Inside were papers with her father's name. Her heart began to beat fast. She could not read everything, but she saw one thing clearly: will. She had heard that word before. It meant something important. Just as she reached for the paper, "What are you doing?" Amara jumped in fear. Uncle Jude stood at the door, his face filled with anger. I was just cleaning," she stammered. He rushed forward and snatched the file from her. "Don't ever touch my things again," he shouted. Her body shook. "I'm sorry, sir." He stared at her for a moment, then forced a smile. "Good girl, now go." But as she walked out, something inside her changed. That was not normal. Why was he hiding those papers? Why did he look afraid for the first time? Amara realized something. Maybe, just maybe, they were hiding the truth from her. That night, Amara could not sleep. Her mind kept going back to the paper she saw. Will. She knew it had something to do with her father. The next day, she decided to be brave. While everyone was busy eating, she quietly returned to Uncle Jude's room. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands were shaking. She searched quickly. Then she found it. The same file. She opened it carefully. This time, she looked closely. Even though she was young, she could understand some words, and what she saw made her freeze. Her father had written everything. Every land, every house, every business, all of it was left to her. Amara's eyes filled with tears. So, Papa didn't forget me? But then she saw another paper attached. Something new. Something different. It had her father's name, but the handwriting didn't look the same, and the name written as owner was Uncle Jude. Her heart dropped. No! Before she could think, slap! A heavy hand hit her face. She fell to the ground. "You little thief!" Auntie screamed. Uncle Jude stood behind her, his face dark. "I warned you." Amara held her cheek, crying. "You stole everything," she whispered. The room went silent, and for the first time, Uncle Jude stopped pretending. Uncle Jude looked at her with cold eyes. "So, you know." Amara slowly stood up, shaking. "That is my father's property. You changed everything." Auntie laughed loudly. "Listen to her. This small girl thinks she has power." Tears rolled down Amara's face. "You stole from me." Uncle Jude's expression hardened. "Enough." He turned to his wife. "Pack her things." Amara's heart skipped. "Uncle, please." But nobody listened. Within minutes, her small bag was thrown outside. "You are no longer welcome here," Auntie said. Amara fell to her knees. "Where will I go?" Uncle Jude stepped closer. "That is not my problem." Then he said something she would never forget. "If you ever come back here again, you will regret it." The gate slammed shut. Amara stood there alone. No parents, no home, no help, just silence. She looked back at the big house, her house, the house her father built, now taken from her. Tears fell from her eyes, but deep inside, a small fire began to burn. They took everything from her, but one day they would regret it. Amara walked slowly down the dusty road. The sun was already going down, and the sky was turning dark. She held her small bag tightly. Inside it were only a few clothes, nothing else. No food, no money, no home. She stopped under a tree and looked around. The village that once felt like home now felt strange. People passed by, but nobody stopped. Some looked at her with pity. Others ignored her. Tears filled her eyes again. "Papa, where should I go?" she whispered. There was no answer. That night, Amara slept outside for the first time. The ground was cold. The wind was strong. Every little sound made her jump. She hugged herself tightly, trying not to cry, but the tears came anyway. She was afraid. Afraid of the dark, afraid of the future, afraid of being alone. But deep inside her heart, she remembered something, her father's voice. "Be strong, no matter what happens." Amara wiped her tears. "I will be strong," she said softly. "I will not die like this."
That night, under the open sky, a little girl made a silent promise. She would survive, no matter how hard it became.
Morning came slowly. Amara woke up tired and hungry. Her body ached from sleeping on the ground. She stood up weakly and started walking again. She didn't know where she was going. She just kept moving. After some time, she reached a small roadside store. An old woman was selling food, hot rice and stew. The smell made Amara's stomach cry. She stood there, watching quietly. The woman noticed her. "Child, what do you want?" she asked. Amara looked down. I have no money." The woman stared at her for a moment. Then she sighed. "Come here." Amara hesitated, but hunger pushed her forward. The woman served her a plate of food. "Eat." Amara's eyes widened. "For me?" "Yes. Eat before I change my mind." Amara didn't wait. She ate quickly, like someone who had not eaten in days. Tears dropped into her food. "Thank you," she whispered. The woman watched her carefully. "What is your name?" "Amara." "Where are your parents?" Amara went silent. "They are gone." The woman's face softened. She thought for a moment. Then she said, "You can stay here for now." Amara looked up in shock. "Really?" "Yes, but you must walk." Amara nodded quickly. "I will walk, I promise." For the first time since she was thrown out, Amara felt something small. Hope. The old woman's name was Mama Ife. She was strict but kind. Amara started working at the food stall every day. She woke up early. She fetched water. She cleaned plates. She served customers. The work was hard, but Amara didn't complain. At least she had food. At least she had a place to sleep. At least she was not alone. Days turned into months. Amara began to grow. She became stronger, smarter, braver. Mama first started trusting her. "Take this money and buy tomatoes," she would say. Amara always returned with the correct change. One evening, a customer asked, "Why is this girl not in school?" Mama Ife looked at Amara. "Do you want to go to school?" Amara's heart jumped. "Yes, I do." Mama Ife nodded slowly. "We will see." From that day, something new started in Amara's life. Not just survival, but progress. Still, she never forgot. Never forgot her father. Never forgot the house. Never forgot the betrayal. Sometimes at night, she would sit quietly and think, "That house is mine." And each time she thought about it, the fire inside her grew stronger. One morning, Mama Ife called Amara. "Come here." Amara rushed over. "Yes, Mama?" She said. "I spoke to someone." Amara listened carefully. "There is a small school nearby. They can accept you, but you must work harder to support yourself." Amara's eyes jumped. "Thank you, Mama. Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. It will not be easy." "I am ready." And she meant it. Amara started school. In the morning, she went to class. In the afternoon, she worked at the store. At night, she studied. She was always tired, but she refused to give up. Other children laughed at her sometimes. "Poor girl," they would say. But Amara ignored them. She had a goal. She didn't just want to survive anymore. She wanted something bigger. She wanted her life back. One day, her teacher called her. "You are very intelligent," he said. Amara smiled shyly. "Thank you, sir. Keep working hard. Your future is bright." That night, Amara looked at the sky. "Papa, I am trying," she whispered.
Far away, in the big house, Uncle Jude was enjoying the wealth, living freely, spending money, laughing. He thought everything was over. He thought Amara was gone forever. But he didn't know something. The girl he threw away was slowly rising. Years passed. Amara was no longer a little girl.
She had grown into a young, strong, and intelligent lady. Life was still not easy, but she had changed. She was no longer weak. She was focused, determined, and very patient. Mama Ife was proud of her. "You will become something great," she often said. Amara smiled, but deep inside, she carried a secret, a painful one. Every time she saw a big house, every time she saw rich families, every time she saw people living the life that should have been hers, she remembered. They took everything from me. But she never spoke about it, not even to Mama Ife. She kept it inside, waiting, watching, growing. One day, while cleaning the store, she heard two men talking. "Did you hear about Chief Okeke's property?" one said. Amara froze. Her heart started beating fast. "The brother took everything. Now he is very rich," the other replied. Amara's hands tightened. So it was true. They had taken everything, and they were enjoying it. But something else followed. "I heard the documents were not clean," one man added. Amara's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" the other asked. The man lowered his voice. "There may be a problem in the future." Amara stood still, her breath slow, her eyes focused. For the first time in years, she felt something powerful. Not just pain, not just anger, but something else. A chance. Amara could not forget what she had. The documents were not clean. Those words stayed in her mind. That night, she could not sleep. What if everything can still be corrected, she thought. The next day, she went to meet her teacher after class. "Sir, I want to ask you something." He looked at her kindly. "Go ahead." Amara hesitated, then spoke. "If someone's property was taken wrongly, can they get it back?" The teacher looked surprised. "Yes, if there is proof." Amara's heart started beating fast. "What kind of proof?" "Legal documents, a will, evidence." Amara's hand slowly tightened. "I see." The teacher studied her face. "Amara, is everything okay?" She forced a small smile. "Yes, sir." But inside her, everything had changed. For the first time, she realized something clearly. Her story was not finished, and maybe, just maybe, justice was still possible. That evening, Amara sat outside with Mama Ife. "Mama, can someone fight for what belongs to them?" Mama Ife looked at her carefully. "Yes, but it is not easy." "What if the person is poor?" Mama Ife sighed. "Then they must become strong first." Amara nodded slowly. Those words entered deep into her heart. I must become strong. Not just physically, not just emotionally, but in knowledge, in power, in position. From that day, Amara made a decision. She would not rush. She would not fight blindly. She would prepare. She studied harder than ever before. She worked harder at the store. She saved every small money she could. Years passed again. Amara finished secondary school with excellent results. Her teacher smiled proudly. "You have a bright future."
But Amara had only one thing in mind. I am coming back for what is mine. One morning, Amara stood in front of Mama Ife. I want to go to the city. Mama Ife was quiet. The city is not easy, she said. I know. Why do you want to go? Amara paused. Then she answered honestly. I want a better life, and I want to fight for my future. Mama Ife looked deep into her eyes. She saw something different. Strength, fire, determination. Finally, she nodded. Go, but don't forget who you are. Tears filled Amara's eyes. I will never forget you, Mama. With a small bag again, just like years ago, Amara left the village. But this time, she was not a helpless child. She was a young woman with purpose. The journey had just begun. The city was loud, busy, unforgiving. Amara quickly realized that life there was harder than she imagined. She searched for work everywhere. Many people rejected her. No experience, no space. Come back later. Days turned to weeks. Money became tight. Hunger returned. But Amara refused to give up. Finally, she got a small job as a cleaner in an office building. The pay was low, the work was tiring, but she accepted it. At least I have started, she told herself. Every day she cleaned offices. But as she worked, she observed, she listened, she learned. One day she noticed something. The building she worked in had law firms, lawyers, people who dealt with documents, cases, property. Her heart beat faster. This is where I need to be. One evening, while cleaning an office, Amara saw a man sitting alone. He was older, serious, surrounded by files. She quietly started cleaning. Suddenly, he spoke. You are always focused on your work. Amara was surprised. Thank you, sir. He watched her for a moment. You are not like others. She stayed silent. Then he asked, What is your name? Amara. What do you want in life, Amara? The question caught her off guard. She hesitated. Then for the first time, she spoke the truth. I want justice. The man leaned back slightly. Justice? Yes. Something was taken from me. The room became quiet. The man studied her carefully. Then he said something that would change her life forever. Maybe I can help you. Amara's heart stopped. She didn't know it yet, but this man was the beginning of everything.
Amara looked at the man in disbelief. Sir, you can help me? The man nodded slowly. My name is Barrister Adewale, he said. I deal with cases like this. Amara's heart was beating fast. She quickly explained everything. Her father, the will, her uncle, how she was thrown out. Barrister Adewale listened carefully without interrupting. When she finished, he leaned forward. If what you are saying is true, then a crime was committed. Amara's hands shook. So I can get everything back? He didn't answer immediately. It will not be easy, he said. Do you have any proof? Amara remembered the document she saw years ago. I saw the real will once. That is not enough, he replied calmly. We need evidence. Amara felt her hope shaking. But then he added, however, if you are willing to learn, I can guide you. Her eyes widened. Learn? Yes, walk with me. Observe. Grow. When the time is right, we fight. Amara didn't think twice. I am ready. That day, a new chapter of her life began. Amara started working under Barrister Adewale. She was still a cleaner, but now she was learning. Every day she listened to conversations. She watched how lawyers spoke, how they argued, how they used documents to prove truth. At night, she studied everything she could. Law books, old case files, even words she didn't understand at first. Slowly, she began to understand. One evening, Barrister Adewale called her. "Amara, come." She walked in. "I have something for you." He handed her a book, Basic Law Principles. Her eyes lit up. "Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. Read it." "I will." Days turned into months again. Amara improved quickly. She was no longer just walking. She was growing, becoming sharper, stronger, smarter. And inside her, the fire was still burning. "I am coming back."
One afternoon, something unexpected happened. Barrister Adewale called Amara urgently. "I need you to look at this." She rushed over. He showed her a document. Her eyes widened immediately. She recognized the name. Chief Okeke, her father. Her hands began to shake. "Where did you get this?" she asked. "It came from a property dispute case," he said. Amara read carefully. Then she saw it. A signature. It looked wrong. "This is not my father's handwriting," she said firmly. Barrister Adewale watched her closely. "Are you sure?" "Yes." He nodded slowly. "That means one thing." Amara swallowed. It was forged. The truth was finally taking shape. The lie was real. And now they had their first clue. From that day, everything became serious. Barrister Adewale opened a file. Amara's case. Seeing her name there made her emotional. "This is real," she whispered. They began to gather evidence. Old records, land documents, witnesses, anything connected to her father's property. Amara worked harder than ever. She followed leads, she asked questions, she remembered small details from the past. Every piece of information mattered. One day, Barrister Adewale smiled. "We are getting close." Amara's heart jumped. "Really?" "Yes, but we must be careful. Your uncle will not give up easily." Amara's face hardened. "I am not afraid of him anymore." And she meant it. The little girl he chased away was gone. In her place was a woman ready to fight. Far away, in the big house, Uncle Jude sat comfortably counting money. Life had been good, very good. He had no worries, no problems, no fear until that day. A man walked into his compound. "Good afternoon," the man said. "I have a message for you." Uncle Jude frowned. "What message?" The man handed him a document. He opened it casually, but as he read, his face changed. "What is this nonsense?" It was a legal notice. A case had been filed regarding Chief Okeke's property. His hands began to shake. "Who dares to do this?" he shouted. The man spoke calmly. "The rightful heir." Uncle Jude froze. "The rightful what?" The man looked straight at him. "Amara." Silence. Deep silence. For the first time in many years, Uncle Jude felt something he had forgotten. Fear. The day finally came. Amara stood in front of the court building. She looked up at it, her heart beating fast. Years ago, she stood outside her father's house with nothing. Today, She stood here, ready to fight for everything. Barrister Adewale stood beside her. "Are you ready?" he asked. Amara took a deep breath. "Yes, I am ready." As they walked inside, people turned to look. She was calm, focused, strong. Then suddenly, she saw him. Uncle Jude, standing across the hall. Their eyes met. For a moment, time stood still. He looked shocked, confused, almost afraid. Amara didn't look away. This time, she was not the little girl he chased out. She was the one coming back for what was hers. The courtroom was quiet. Everyone was seated. The judge entered. Court is in session. Amara sat beside her lawyer, her hands slightly shaking. Across the room, Uncle Jude avoided her eyes. The case began. Barrister Adewale stood up confidently. "My lord, this is a case of fraud, forgery, and illegal possession of property." Murmurs filled the room. Uncle Jude's lawyer stood up quickly. "My lord, these claims are false." The judge raised a hand. "Order." Amara watched everything carefully. Every word mattered. Every move counted. Then came the moment. The forged document was presented. Barrister Adewale spoke clearly. "This document does not match the original will of the late Chief Okeke." The judge looked serious. "Do you have proof?" Adewale nodded. "Yes, my lord." Amara's heart beat faster. The truth was coming out. The next hearing brought a surprise. A witness was called. An old man walked into the courtroom slowly. Amara stared at him. She recognized him. He used to work with her father. "State your name," the lawyer said. "My name is Mr. Okafor." "Do you know the late Chief Okeke?" "Yes, I worked with him for many years." The courtroom was silent. Then came the question. "Did Chief Okeke ever change his will?" The old man shook his head. "Never." Amara felt tears in her eyes. Truth, finally. Mr. Okafor continued. He loved his daughter very much. Everything was meant for her. All eyes turned to Amara. Uncle Jude's face grew tense. The walls of his lies were starting to crack. The pressure increased. More documents were presented. More questions were asked. Then came the final blow. A handwriting expert was called. He studied both signatures carefully. "This signature here," he said, pointing, "is not original." The courtroom gasped. "It is a forgery." Silence. Heavy silence. Uncle Jude's lawyer tried to speak, but the truth was already clear. Amara closed her eyes slowly. Years of pain, years of suffering, all leading to this moment. The judge looked serious. This court will deliver judgment soon. Amara opened her eyes. Her journey was almost over. That night, Uncle Jude could not sleep. He walked around his big house in fear. "What if I lose everything?" he muttered. His wife was restless. "What are we going to do?" He snapped, "Keep quiet." But deep inside, he knew the truth. He had taken what was not his, and now it was coming back to him. For the first time, regret entered his heart. Meanwhile, Amara sat quietly in her room, calm, strong, waiting. She was no longer afraid because she knew something now. No matter how long it takes,
Truth always finds its way back. The courtroom was full. Everyone was waiting. The air felt heavy. Amara sat quietly, her hands together. Barrister Adewale leaned closer. Today is the day. Across the room, Uncle Jude looked nervous. His face was no longer proud. Fear had taken over. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Court is in session. Silence filled the room. The judge began to speak. After reviewing all evidence, documents and testimonies, Amara's heart beat loudly. This court finds that the will presented by the defendant, he paused, was forged. A loud reaction filled the room. Uncle Jude froze. And that all properties of the late Chief Okeke, Amara held her breath, rightfully belonged to his daughter, Amara. Tears filled her eyes instantly. It is hereby ordered that all assets be returned immediately. Everything went silent again. Then slowly, Amara realized she had won. News spread quickly. People talked everywhere. The girl came back. She won the case. They really stole from her. Amara returned to the house. Her house. The same gate, the same compound. But this time, she walked in with dignity. Not as a servant, not as a child, but as the rightful owner. Workers greeted her respectfully. "Welcome, madam." She paused for a moment. Memories rushed back. Pain, tears, loneliness. Then she took a deep breath and walked inside. Everything that was taken was finally back. Uncle Jude lost everything. The house, the lands, the money, even his respect. People avoided him. The same people who once praised him now whispered behind his back. Thief, greedy man. His wife left him. Friends disappeared. One evening, he stood outside the gate, the same gate he once used to send Amara away. Now, he had nowhere to go. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to lose everything. And deep inside, regret burned like fire. Amara stood by the window, looking outside. She had everything now, but her heart was calm. Not proud, not wicked, just peaceful. One day, a guard came to her. "Madam, someone is outside asking for you." "Who?" "He says his name is Jude." Amara went silent. After a moment, she said, "Let him in." Uncle Jude walked in slowly. He looked weak, broken, nothing like before. He fell to his knees. "I am sorry," he said, his voice shaking. Amara looked at him quietly. Years ago, she begged him. Today, he was the one begging. She took a deep breath. "I cannot forget what you did," she said. He lowered his head. "But I will not become like you." She turned away. "Go and start your life again." That was all. No revenge, no cruelty, just truth. Years later, Amara became something great. Not just rich, but respected.
She built schools. She helped children. She gave people opportunities. People told her story everywhere. The girl who lost everything and came back stronger. But Amara always remembered one thing, her father's voice. Be strong, no matter what happens. And she was very strong. One evening, she stood outside her house looking at the sunset. She smiled softly. They took everything from me. She paused, but they did not take who I am. And that made all the difference. Sometimes people will take what belongs to you. But if you stay strong, patient, and focused, life has a way of bringing everything back. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more powerful and emotional stories like this. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I would love to know. And remember, no matter what life takes from you, never lose your strength. See you in the next story.